Hey guys, Jen with Astro T. So today we are talking about a big full moon coming up. Now this one is in the sign of Aries. So we all know that Aries initiating kind of feel about it. This is on October 17th, so next Thursday at 24 degrees and 35 minutes Aries. So this is no ordinary full moon. So it is on the same day that Venus moves into Sag. So we have here, and that's the same day that the full moon is in Aries. So this is coming off eclipse season. So again, it's no ordinary full moon. It's filled with anger, frustration, and unrest. And why is that? So we have the full moon right here in Aries and Libra. And the reason that this is such a strong-willed kind of full moon is because it's actually creating two T-squares, one with Mars in Cancer. So you can see here, right here, we see the triangle. So that is a T-square. So we have, see that? It's a T, pretty much. So that's the first T-square, and it's square with Mars in Cancer. And then we have it also square to Pluto in Capricorn. So those are two intense planets along with this. So when you have two T-squares together, it forms, looks like a big box with a slice down. And it's actually called a grand cross. So a grand cross can signify extreme tension, because we have all the elements present. So we have air, earth, fire, and water. So we have all elements present here. So everyone's going to be feeling this a little bit. So it can, again, can signify a lot of tension. It's in the cardinal sign. So tension to really get things going. And we know this is the start. This is a kickoff, especially being that is in a full moon in the first degrees, or in the first sign of the zodiac, which is Aries, obviously right here, just starting the whole zodiac off. It could be the most challenging of all the full moons. It's the most initiating and the most instigating. So this is like four rams kind of slamming their heads. You know, Aries is the sign of the ram, and it's just four rams just slamming their heads against each other, each vying to be the alpha, because this is all in the cardinal signs. So all those initiating signs, those signs that want to be the ones that are the leader, the alpha male. And, you know, especially Aries being that Mars ruled sign, it's really got that dominating kind of who's going to be on top and who's going to be the victor on top. So with Mars in the mix, you know, it's Mars ruled sign, it's in the mix, and Pluto at that 29th degree, tensions are on high. And we already can feel this. This has been going on. This is not a big, you know, surprise. Oh, things are going to get tense. Things have been tense. And we know that. And it's only, I think, going to be exacerbated by this full moon. So it feels like we're at the 11th hour right now, when we are being pulled in 100 different directions towards what is logical, what our emotions are telling us. We might feel out of control. This is very fiery. You know, we try and stay grounded with that earth. But our, you know, our brains are going 100 miles an hour. That's that air. Our emotions are going wild. That's that water, and then just our, you know, just that fire, that passion. So as I said in my October forecast, that we could see crazies doing crazy things. And I think this is what my, you know, biggest concern, because this world is so tense right now. A grand cross is really, you know, incorporating into this full moon is really going to make things just that much more intense, that much more just, you know, really, people flying, you know, feeling the need to take things into their own hands is probably what I think is my biggest fear right now, because this is, again, going to be hitting a little bit of everybody, because it's going to be hitting all the signs, so if you are, you know, anything cardinal especially, so, you know, it's a scary thought. especially with the US election coming up and drawing very close. That it's less than 30 days now, it's less than a month. And Pluto on that anaretic degree, it's that kind of that panic degree almost, I like to call it. It's that like, I need to get this thing done before we move on. So, you know, we've already had in this election cycle 2 assassination attempts on one of our candidates here in the US. And in most elections, we get what they call the October surprise. So this is happening in October with already tensions high. This surprise could be something big time. Pluto is stationing direct at that last degree, so it's ready to take things down with it before it moves. You know, it's gonna go and it's going to change signs, and it's going to, you know, take down that Capricorn-y, you know, kind of chopping the legs underneath off, you know, knocking the ladder out from underneath you. It's kind of that feel before it moves into Pisces, or into Pisces, into Aquarius. And that's going to be on, when it makes it final ingress, it'll be on November 19th, which is pretty much just after the election. It's like 15 days later or 13 days later. And in time to start that Aquarian new normal. I think that we're going to really, this is kind of a kickoff, or the events that might happen are going to be the lead-in to how we're going to see these changes start, and how we're going to know what changes are going to take place with how all of this kind of plays out, I feel. We do have some positives, so not everything is a negative. Jupiter, we have here, is sextile to the moon, and of course that would make it trine to the sun. So it is trying to help, but it's slowed down. It has been sitting at that, you know, because it's going to it's stationing to go retrograde, and it's been really sitting on that 21st degree in Gemini for a while, just really just bearing down on it. Really it could be setting off news cycles, like big news coming out. This is in Gemini. It's when we start hearing things coming out. We already hear a lot of things coming out on the news, a lot with this P. Diddy scandal, and, you know, just with the candidates here. I know I'm going to bring up politics a lot. I'm sorry for those of you who don't like it, but I mean, it is kind of the main thing going on in the US here. So really poignant right now. So, and we're hearing about, you know, the different news things that are going on, and the interviews, and the, you know, all the different candidates are going on. So I think that, you know, this is we're going to get a lot of this through news getting blown up, things getting exposed almost with that Jupiter. So the Jupiter might not necessarily be bad, but it might not necessarily be, well, it depends. It might be helpful to some, but not helpful to others, I guess you could say. Because it could unwillingly blow things up for, you know, one side or the other, or, you know, people in general. The Venus sextile Pluto. So we have Venus, where is she? Right here, sextile to Pluto. So it's two signs away. It's kind of, you know, because it's moving into Sagittarius, it's a, you know, out of sign sextile, but still about 2 away before it makes that final ingress in. And let's see, and it's gonna be, it's almost if like it's saying, yes, things are going to be hard, but yes, I'm here. You know, that Venus, that kind of nurturing, loving, you know, but I'm here for you, and I'm going to try and help. It's going to be a transformative benefit, you know, because we do have a trine to Pluto. So the transformation is going to be difficult, but in the end, it's going to benefit us no matter what it, you know, whatever it ends up being. And I think that that's everyone's fear, is everyone kind of knows, whoa, I'm blown away here. Everyone knows what they want, but we don't know what's really good for everybody. You know, everyone wants different things, and they think like, I can't believe people want this and people want that. But I think that this is going to end up kind of putting the wheels in motion to make things better for everybody, hopefully in the long run anyway. Because as far as right now and the tensions that are going on right now in the world, it can't get much worse. I guess it can, but so also we have the moon in Aries. So see, we have the moon here in Aries, and then we have the ruler of Aries which is Mars, and that's in Cancer, which is the moon ruled sign. So what that's called, when we have them in kind of each other's homes, that's called mutual reception. So they are each in each other's domicile. So it's like they're both at each other's houses while they're away. And normally this is kind of a positive. It kind of adds a little bit of positive to otherwise being in a negative house. But we already know with the square, they are square to each other. So, we have Mars in there, and Mars is in opposition to Pluto, because don't forget that T-square, that double T-square that's going on. Mars in opposition to Pluto is making changes, permanent changes that, maybe the moon might not be ready for, but that moon is at that full point where, okay, things are going to start happening. Go ahead, Mars, we're going to be uncomfortable because this is a square, but it's going to start happening. So Mars is taking down walls, out with the old, throwing things in the dumpster, just getting rid of stuff, burning it, permanent changes. This is, in opposition with Pluto here. Again, things might feel difficult, things might be hard and confusing and scary, but in the end, we should come out of the ashes better for it. So, they are in that mutual reception, but it's still the so many squares just make things that much more difficult. The full moon, Pluto and Mars are, it's that culmination point, because the full moon's always that culmination point. Plus, it's that letting go, going on to something new. That's, that initiation of a brand new, zodiac with Aries. And it's a letting go that can bring fear, and it can bring a lot of chaos. And this is, kind of what, where the kind of nervousness in me sets in a little bit, because the moon in Aries really has the emotions in people burning really hot. Our passions are high, and sometimes this transit, especially when it is in with a full moon, has us really living in the moment without thinking of the consequences of what we do. So yes, we have a nice mutual reception. We have the Jupiter sextile, the Jupiter trine, and we do have, some positives, the Venus sextile to Pluto. We do have those positives in there. But, that fiery, unsettled moon that's in Aries, and then we have that uneasy, anxiety-filled Mars that's in Cancer that has all those emotions, anxiety, and just, it's just really down to how it's configured, I think, in certain individuals' charts, certain individuals that might have a tendency to maybe not be able to control themselves, and that, it can get a little bit scary, cause them to kind of act out again in a not take back kind of way, because this is in that square with Pluto. So things that, maybe you can't take back, things that are going to be a permanent, fixture or, permanent thing that happens. So again, I'm sorry that, those sick of hearing about the election, but it's so consequential here in the US. I had to bring things up, and I found some things kind of striking. So I did quick looks at everybody involves charts. And I found I just did transits. I didn't do, zodiacal releasing. I didn't do anything like that. I didn't do any arcs, progressions, any of that. All I did was do a quick look on everyone's charts at the transits. So first, I looked at Kamala Harris's. She's really big right now. We got a lot of feminine energy going on right now. she has Jupiter separating from her AC and her north node, her ascendant and her north node. So it's a separating aspect. So when it was applying to it, she was really boosted. She was really through the roof, up, huge. Everybody was, everyone's talking about her. Oh, she's bringing us joy, and everything's joy. Everyone was so excited about her. Now that she's been kind of out and about and you've been hearing how a lot of people are throwing her a lot more criticism now that she's been kind of doing these interviews. So that's where I think a lot of that, Jupiter coming into play with all this negativity, and with that Gemini is kind of bringing out some negatives there. So Uranus is also moving towards her Jupiter and square to her Saturn. Also moving all that's been kind of going on for a while, but separating Venus, the personal planet, is square to her MC. So could this be maybe bad economic choices, bad information about the economy coming out that could really hurt her candidacy? Now, Tim Waltz, her running mate, he doesn't have a good birth time. So we don't really know when his birth time is, but we can still look at the transits and how they go to his planets, the planets in his natal chart. So Venus is square his Saturn. That might be some issues with that, maybe things from the past, maybe things that you've worked on, maybe coming back to haunt you. I don't know, maybe things being a little difficult as you're rising to the top. We know that he's had a lot of things called out about him. Maybe it's a little bit difficult for him. So that is the square. The square isn't necessarily always bad, but it makes things a little more difficult. So, and that is, he has the full moon is conjunct his Jupiter. So that could be a lot of positives. Again, I couldn't really look deep into where this falls in his chart because we don't know his birth time. But will there be something that hurts his reputation or something that boosts his reputation because of that Jupiter in there? So be easy. It's fun to see how this all plays out. Now, going to the other side of the ticket, we have Trump still with Uranus on his MC. Now we know how that has played out for him, and he's gotten lucky a couple times. So Jupiter is positioned between his south node and the sun. So that's, the sun and the north node, that's your goals, that's your aspirations. And Mars is conjunct his Saturn. So going for your goals, going for your aspirations, but Mars is that aggressor. So, an aggressor, but, Saturn is also that, getting what I've worked for, or could be endings as well. This can be increased responsibilities or increased hostilities. So will there be a third assassination attempt? And as I was going to do this video yesterday, and then today I happened to see on a news brief that I got that I guess he's calling out for military aid for his last few weeks of the campaign, because I guess this Iran threat against his life is so huge. So I was like, oh my God, I got to get this out because this is all just getting really intense. So then we look at JD Vance. So again, the whole Trump thing, if he has another assassination attempt, is he going to be as lucky this time? Or, will something horrible happen? We don't know. These are all human beings we're talking about. I know that they're very polarizing figures, all of them, for a lot of people, but you have to remember these are all human beings with families, with people that love them, and you might not necessarily want them to win the election, but you don't want them to be killed. So you got to think about that. I know emotions are high, and people might be thinking, oh, don't miss this time, and I've heard things like that. And see, that's where the polarization and the high tension in this society right now is really just too much. It's just too much. And you have to remember, we're all human beings. We all have people that love us, and we all have to think about that. Don't vote for the person that you don't want to win, and then hope for the best. So, and then you see what happens in the end. But you have to get out there and vote to put your stamp on things to make sure, hopefully things will go the way you want, or hopefully it'll just go the way that's best for society. So I think that, it's all going to play out. And I think, of course, the stars already know what's going to happen, and we just have to watch, their little chess game. So JD Vance has Uranus in an applying conjunction with his MC, and Jupiter is in a sextile to his Venus. So these are positives, and it's also trine to his moon. So that's a lot of positivity going on in his chart, and it could be another big sudden boost in reputation, because he's got that Uranus up there. Really, his MC is so close to where Trump's is. It's only 2 degrees away. So you can kind of see why they kind of align in a lot of things, even though they didn't before. So there going to be a big boost in his reputation. Uranus is square his ascendant, as is Venus, same as Trump, because if it's conjunct your MC, it's going to be square your ascendant if it's in close degree proximity. So that could be a negative, but again, it's going to be interesting to see how things play out. I didn't do some serious digging. I just wanted to see some kind of different little aspects. Now, finally, I threw RFK Jr. in the mix because of a conspiracy theory I heard, and I'm going to just tell it to you real quick after. So with RFK, he's having a full moon, and it's semi-close to his MC. This full moon is semi-close to his MC, and Mars is conjunct his Uranus. So that is like sudden surprises, changes in your reputation, in your career, what you strive for in life. That's your MC is your highest point in life. So that's your end game, kind of, I guess you could say. Jupiter is conjunct his Jupiter. That's also a pretty big, factor. He's having his Jupiter return. Usually, I haven't looked back on his past ones, but again, usually it's pretty positive, and it can show really some huge opportunities coming his way. So here's a conspiracy I heard. Just gonna put it out there. It's not even an astrology one or anything, but what I heard was that if Trump does have another assassination attempt, he might not be so lucky. Third time might be, 3 strikes and you're out or something like that, which would be, again, like I said, I would never want anything to happen to anybody, but he just might not be so lucky. In that instance, who would then be the GOP candidate? Would it be JD Vance, who does have that boost in his chart around this time, and who would be his running mate? And you see that they have this unification ticket kind of going on with RFK Jr. in there, which is why I threw him into the mix, because would he choose RFK Jr. as his running mate, who also has a lot of boost to his reputation going on in his chart at this time? But just thought I'd throw that out there because I thought it was really interesting, and I was like, holy crap, that really just kind of plays out with what I was looking at in the chart. So I just had to throw it in there. That's why I wanted to get this out today. Just to really be like, I'm not that I'm predicting anything, because again, never want anything bad or, anyone to get shot or hurt or anything in any way. If you don't want someone to be president, don't vote for him, period. But again, we're going to see how this plays out. Hopefully it'll just be like a lot of people just in bad moods all the time for a couple weeks maybe. If something were to happen, there could be like a lot of civil unrest. So, hopefully any of you people, that might act rationally or irrationally, there's going to be consequences to your actions. So remember that. You're just not going to oh, I'm going to do this and I'm going to be a hero. Just Like, let's be smart people. Let's think before we do things. And let's remember there are consequences to all of our actions. And things like to that level are, it's going to be like national consequences or even worldwide consequences. So hopefully we get through this election without any more violence. Just have a nice election the way things used to be, you know, without all this craziness, without all this polarity. I also really pray for the diffusal of the fighting in Europe and in the Middle East, but I really don't see this full moon helping and all this Mars aggression. And with Mars entering its long retrograde phase coming up, I would expect things to remain on high, at least until the end of the year and beyond, because so much going on next year, which of course we'll get into as we get closer to the end of the year. Don't expect 2025 to just become, because we have so many of the outer planets, well, all the outer planets pretty much beginning their ingresses into their next signs. So that's the video for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Politics is going to be done pretty soon, so don't worry. So anyway, please leave your comments. I'd love to hear what you guys think. And remember to like and subscribe. We're going to lighten things up a little bit, maybe do something fun next week for Halloween. I'll look into doing that. Maybe we'll bring back the serial killers, the astrology of a serial killer, maybe one more time for next week, or a couple times maybe before we hit Halloween. So I will see y'all soon. Stay safe. Bye.